In this video, we're going to be taking a look at something that really I've never really seen discussed, but I can tell you from experience I've ran into, and I've wound up spending a lot of money only to be frustrated. So when I first started with rhinestones, maybe a year ago, probably a little bit over a year ago, I had a red sail cutter, which you can find on eBay and elsewhere for little or nothing. I paid $300. I bought it from Sign Warehouse on eBay. $300. It came with a vinyl sign cutting software called LXI, and I really liked LXI. And I liked my red sail cutter, even though it was a really cheap cutter. I cut so much stuff with that cutter, all kinds of stuff, for years and never had an issue with it. So I was very, very happy for the minimal investment. But when I started with rhinestone templates, the cutter cut fine. That wasn't really the issue. The issue that I was having was it took so long to cut a rhinestone template. And now this design here, this is almost 1,000 stones. So there's almost 1,000 circles. And the other issue that I was having with LXI is it's talked about when we cut rhinestone templates, it's talked about that we always should cut the circles as a double pass. Well, in the version of LXI that I was using at the time, and I still think it exists to this day, LXI did have a double cut function, but what it would do is it would cut the entire template and then come back and cut the entire template again. And most of your cutting software doesn't work that way. What it would actually do is it would actually take a circle and cut that one circle twice over and then move on to the next circle and cut that one twice over if we choose the double pass option. So that was one consideration when I was looking to switch cutting software. The other consideration that I didn't even realize until I landed on this particular cutting software, when I went to investigate a new vinyl cutter, most of your vinyl cutters come with some type of cutting software. Well, when I had my red sail cutter from Sign Warehouse, SignMax, you've probably seen them on eBay. They sell the exact same cutter. They just kind of rebrand it they call it a SignMax, but really it's a red sail cutter as well. So they're inexpensive cutters, but the software, I knew I had to change out my software. So that was really my first step. What kind of cutting software is out there? So, for example, one of the programs I stumbled across was the StoneCut Pro software from Digital Art Solutions. And they had a demonstration of how in StoneCut Pro you could set up an optimized way to cut your template. And you could even actually look and see exactly the order in which those dots would be cut. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And I'm pretty sure that it would work with my red sail cutter. Now, StoneCut Pro is a significant investment, and really it was probably overkill for what I was looking for at the time, when really all I was really looking for was something that could send files to my cutter. So then, I looked at other options too, such as WinPC Sign and some of the other different programs out there, but nothing quite cut the way I would really want it to cut until I stumbled across this software. Now, this is Click and Cut Studio. It came with my K&K cutter. And this is ultimately the reason I purchased my K&K cutter, was because of this software. Now, this software is made by CADLink, so if you have a CADLink type product, such as Oobling or Blingit, it looks very, very similar to what you see here, because it's made by the same developer. So let me show you what I'm talking about here, because I really think it's a big, big deal. It certainly was for me. So this is a roughly 1,000 stone design, and so I'm going to select the whole design. And first of all, I just want to show you, when we come up here to cut and come over here to plotting defaults, there's an option right here where it says multi-cut and the number of passes. And what it will do is it will take whatever object it's cutting and cut it twice. So that is a very important function here. And under tool options, there is a function here where, see, there's an overcut function that if we're only cutting one, we can do an overcut. And then this is the trailing blade in K&K Studio, which is kind of like blade offset and other programs. So these are all important things of how our cuts are going to turn out. But so when we're cutting rhinestone templates, we'll do a double pass, and we'll just hit apply and close. So what it's going to do is going to cut each circle twice and then move on to the next circle. Where in LXI, that comes with your red sail cutter or your SignMax cutter, when I was using LXI, it was different. It would cut the whole template, and then it would come back and cut the whole template again. So for every template we cut, we'd have to sit and wait twice for it to cut, which isn't really practical. And it doesn't cut the same way, because every single hole has to line up exactly as it did and the first time around, otherwise we have a real mess. So that's not optimal. But let me show you the magic in this software. And I'm telling you, if you look at any other software other than a CADLink software, it isn't going to work exactly like it does here, because I've looked at so many programs. If we go to cut and we'll choose plot, there's an option here. So if you look at this, you can see this, our cutter would be here. And you can see we would feed in our template material. So the cutter sits this way. So in here, if I choose this option right here, it says horizontal. So we're choosing sort horizontally, and see we can even choose this option, show sort numbers. So we can look and see exactly how this is going to cut. And this is what I think is pretty magical about this particular software. So let's zoom in nice and tight here. So now you can see the numbers of how this is going to cut. See, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it's cutting horizontally. Now notice it says 68 here. Well, if we look at this, zoom out back over here, notice how when it finishes this row, 32, 33, 34, 35, it just hooks around, cuts the next closest circle, and then comes back down, sorting horizontally. When it finishes this row, we're here at 68, and then it's going to go to 69, 70, and then you can see it goes to 71, 72, 73, and then the next closest stone. Even though horizontally, really this stone is right in line with this one. See, it says, but it goes to the next closest stone. So you see it says 71, because that was the next closest stone from 70, and then 72, 73, 74. The next closest stone from 74 horizontally is this one, 75, 76. And you can see the next closest stone horizontally is 77. Then it bounces to 78 and 79. Now this stone is 100, and the reason I'm not really sure why it jumped. It forgot this one and jumped to 80, 81. But you can see it's a very much optimized. It just kind of makes a methodical process of cutting, and I'm telling you, it'll make a dramatic difference. Very dramatic difference in the amount of time it takes to cut out a template. So experiment with these different programs. But if you're starting out brand new and you don't already have a product, I think this is, to me, is a huge consideration to make. How does the software send that design to the cutter? If you want to be as productive as you can be, to me, this will make a huge difference. If you download some of these demo programs, like I think you can download a demo of Make the Cut, and it works with a lot of different cutting software, and compare how that Make the Cut software cuts. You'll see it kind of skip around and dance around all over the design, especially on a good sized design like this where you have 1,000 stones. It's even more of a concern if you're cutting out a 2,000 stone design. It'll dance around, bounce around, and then, it'll cut. It just takes so much longer to cut with a software that's not optimized like this. And I know in LXI, there is a function that is supposed to optimize the cut, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work like this works. In WinPC Sign, there's supposed to be a function in it too, where I have WinPC Sign. I've cut with WinPC Sign, so I know how these programs work. And, people can scream from the rooftops that that's how it cuts, but no, it doesn't cut quite like this. So, just something to consider. I don't sell cutting software, so it doesn't matter to me. I don't sell vinyl cutters. I'm just saying it's something that you really should consider when you're setting out looking for a vinyl cutter. Really understand how that software sends the design to the cutter and how that cutter cuts, because it will make a dramatic difference in the amount of time it takes to cut out your templates. And of course, we know time is money, right? So anything we can do to optimize our time and get things done quickly, it's a good thing. So just something to consider. Thanks for watching.